Hi, you guys. I'm sorry that I can't be with you today, but I'm going to make a video of the lesson. I need you to follow along and do what we normally do in class. So, this is our calendar. Take a look. There is today the 22nd. Happy 2/22/22. In a week, we will be having our test. So you are going to do 4 representations on your own today. Then I will be back for graphing inequalities and the review, and then we will have the test. So please make sure that you're getting all your homework done, caught up on anything that's missing, that if you missed some classwork, you can get those points by doing the makeup work, and that you are paying attention today, taking the notes, and working the problems as we go through. So don't let today slip away just because I'm not there. Make sure that you are paying attention. There, we're going to do 4 word problems, story problems, and then you're going to have a little classwork. Now, that said, if today is a late start, it'll just be the 4 word problems that you'll be responsible for, and then your regular homework. But if it is a full 90 minutes, then you are going to be responsible for not only the notes quiz and the 4 word problems, but then there is a classwork piece as well, in addition to that homework that you'll take home tonight. So let's move on. First thing, as always, you're going to do the homework and the notes quiz. So please correct homework 7.37. I actually am going to talk about, oh, that's the wrong pen. I'm going to talk about number 3, but I do want you to go ahead and take care of this first, just like we always do. I'm not going to set a timer. I need you to pause this video. I need you to check your homework, go in, finish your notes quiz for February 22nd, and then come back to this screen and push play again. So please pause right now, take care of checking this homework and taking your notes quiz. Okay, so I'm hoping that you checked your homework and took the notes quiz. If you haven't done that yet, please back up and do that now. Don't just keep playing through this video. So I want to talk about I said it was number 3. It's actually number 2 that I want to talk about. Sorry, number 3 is the easy one. Number 2 is probably the hardest or the longest one on here. And so the reason is because we want to find y equals blank x plus blank. We need to fill in the m and the b. And in order to do that, we need to first find the slope using the slope formula, and then we need to find the b by substituting. So we're going to go y minus y, minus 4 minus a negative 1. Okay, so minus 4 minus a negative 1. Sorry about the handwriting there. And then x over x in the same order, left to right. So negative 3 minus, I should use the other side, it writes better, minus 6. There we go. So minus 4 minus a negative 1 is plus. That's going to give me a negative 3. Minus 4 plus 1 is minus 3. Minus 3 minus 6 is a minus 9. A negative and a negative is a positive, and that is 1/3. Our slope is 1/3. Now we can choose either one of the coordinates for y and x. I'm going to pick the one that has at least one positive in there. So I'm going to say negative 1. Sorry about the Smart Notebook basic version. That's what I have at home. So the y is negative 1 equals 1/3 times 6. Now I'm going to put that ninja 1 under there just to clarify the fraction, plus b. I don't know b yet. That's what I'm looking for, because remember, this is my answer. So negative 1 equals 1/3 of 6 is 2. 1 times 6 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, plus b. Subtract 2 from both sides, and we discover that b is negative 3. Negative 3. That is my final answer. 1/3 x minus 3. Y equals 1/3 x minus 3. Okay. So what you need to do now is please turn in your homework to the sub, whoever is there with you. So probably they'll just have a little basket up front. Please just walk up and turn that in. Next to that basket up front, if they haven't already handed these out, will be the little stickies. I'll just leave those out for them. Today we are going to represent problems with equations, tables, graphs, and in-words. Representar problemas con ecuaciones, tablas, gráficos y con palabras. We're going to represent in 4 different ways. So please tab 7.38. And here are your notes. So 7.38, I'm going to scroll this up so that you can see the Spanish and the English version. Let me hide this. Please hit pause again right now so that you can copy down what is in black. Okay, if you're not done copying, hit pause. All right, let's jump. Oh, actually, let's talk about this. So 4 ways to represent functions. They call them 4 faces of a function. If you Google that, that would be these 4 things. You can write it as an equation, which is often written as a function, a data table, a graph, and an explanation in story or words. Okay, again, there's the Spanish translation. Hit pause if you need more time. All right, let's hit some models. So our first model of four models is a school banquet, banquete escolar. I think that's how you would say it. So this is all about a banquet at school. So the cost of a school banquet is $95 plus $15 for each person attending. So the school banquet, what I'd like you to write down. So actually here, let me show you. Unfortunately, my screen is, here, let me show you. So this is what I want it to look like. It's going to be 4 squares in a page. The first one's going to be story, then equation, then table, then graph. So here's my advice. Just go ahead and hit pause and set this up with enough space to fill all these in. And that way you can just follow along as I work the problem, pausing as you need. Please pause if you need time to copy those down. Okay, let's talk story. So the school banquet, what we need to know is this information. So please write down what's in black under the story. Okay, school banquet is $95 plus $15 per person. So now we're going to define every single variable in here. So y equals mx plus b. So the first question is what is my constant? What do I pay no matter how many people I have? Well, that's the 95. Okay, that's my b. Then what is going to increase or decrease in my story? Well, that is the $15 per person. So however many people I have, I multiply that by 15. So now let's go back and define all of these. So y is going to be, once I do all that math, I'm going to get the total cost. Okay. M is my slope, and that is the per person cost. You are writing this in your notes. Oh, sorry. It won't let me do that because it's messing with my picture. There we go, per person cost. The X is going to be what I multiply by the per person cost. So this is number of people. And the $95 is the base fee of what they're going to charge me. So we're going to call that just a base fee. That's the setup and tear down cost. Okay. All right, so we have the story. We now have an equation with every single variable identified. Y equals mx plus b. Now we're going to run to the table. So to be honest, it's kind of, although it's unreasonable to say that I would then have no one show up at my banquet, that does give me the y-intercept. So if no one came, this whole banquet would cost me $95. Okay. Then let's say 10 people came or 20 people came. That's pretty easy to multiply by 15. So 10 people coming would be 150 plus 95. So 10 people come, that would be 5, and 9 and 5 is 14. Carrier 1, that's $245. 20 people come, 2 times 15 is 30, so that would be $300 plus 95. That one's easy. So it'd be $395 if I had 20 people. There's my table. 3 or more values. You could have done more values. To be honest, you could have done 0, 1, and 2, but 10 and 20 actually makes a little more sense as far as my graph goes. So here's my graph. I need 3 things. So I'm going to scooch this up just to remind you. I need a title, I need labels, and I need a data. So we're going to call this the banquet. Remember, you are writing all of this in your notes, not just watching. So banquet, down here I'm going to put number of people. And over here, I'm going to put the cost. So let's look again at how we defined each of our variables. Our y here is total cost. Okay, so our y, I guess I can make them match. Total cost, that's going to be in money, dollars. And then our x is the number of people, right? Those are going to be the two axes on our graph. So let's make this number of, and that way it matches totally. Okay, so we're going to go 0, 0. And then we need to go, let's look at our x first. So we have a 0, a 10, and a 20. So let's make this 10. Let's make this 20. It certainly could go on, so we'll make sure that we have an arrow. We got the title and labels. Now we're working on the data. For my y, I need to go from 0 up to 395. So let's put like a 400 here. Then we'll split that in half. That's a 200. That's a 250. That's a, that's a 300. That's a 100. And that'll do us just fine. So when I have 0 people, I'm going to come up to $95. That is my y-intercept. It is going to be just under 100. Then at 10 people, it's going to be 245. So just not quite halfway. So 10 people up to 245, and then 20 people just under 400. So I'm going to put that, oh, this is a problem. 20 people and just under 400 should make us a pretty good straight line. There we go. So I have my title, check. Banquet, I have labels, number of people, total cost in dollars, and I have my data, 3 points of data. Please don't just draw a line. Please make sure that you have 3 points of data. So then the next thing is, would negatives make sense? So think about that for a second. Could I have negative people? No. Could I have a negative cost? No. So I don't need the full 4 quadrants, right? I only need quadrant 1 because only positives make sense. And then here's my last question. What would C of 100 equals 15p plus 95 mean? So I chose letters that made sense. So C is cost. Okay. And then P is people. Okay. So what would C of 100 mean? It's when P is 100. So this would mean I have 100 guests, people, personas, guests. And then let's do that math really quick. So this would be 15 times 100 plus the $95 base fee. That's 1,500 plus 95. I would be paying $1,595 for 100 people. Okay. So they're all going to be like this. Make sure that you have down everything that's in black. Story, historia, ecuaciones, equation, with con variables, define all the variables, la definición de variables, a table, okay, con tres números, and then a graph, graficar, okay, with title, título, y I don't know how to say labels, with labels. And then I want you to have this in there as well. What would C of 100 equal 15p plus 95 mean? Means 100 people are guests, and C of 100 is 1595. Everything in black. All right, as we go through the other ones, I'm going to probably go a little bit faster. Please pause as needed. I don't know how to say that in Spanish. Let's try that. Pause. Pausa el video cuando lo necesitas. All right, la historia dos. Story 2, racquetball. So playing racquetball, a racquetball gym membership. So what they gave us here was the equation. The equation is y equals 15x plus $150. So backtracking, y is my total cost. Oops. Let me see if I can. There you go. Y is my total cost. M is my per day fee. Tarifa por día. X is the number of times that I'm playing racquetball. So what I know is that they're going to charge me every day that I play racquetball. Número de veces que juega racquetball. And then B is the gym membership fee. That is my base. This is my base fee. I'm going to pay that even if I never play racquetball. Okay, that gets me into the gym every day. So what's the story? Playing racquetball within a gym with a membership. Oh, I'd be better off typing this. How about this? Playing racquetball with short. Okay. A gym membership fee of $150 and $15 per court use, right? So playing racquetball with a gym membership fee of $150 and a $15 per court use fee. There you go. Okay. All right. So let's get to the table. So let's say I never ever play racquetball. I just go for other things. I go for the track or swimming or whatever. I'm going to pay $150. Let's say I play 10 times. Let's just do the 10 and 20 again. Okay. If I play 10 times, that is going to be 15 times 10 plus 150. So 15 times 10 is 150 plus 150 is 300. Okay, so 10 is going to be at 300, and let's drag the 20 down. And so 20 is going to be 20 times 10 plus 150 is 200 plus 150 is 350. All right, let's graph it. Remembering that we need a title. So racquetball at gym. Good enough. Then we need labels. So this is going to be, we already talked about what my Y is. Y is my total cost. So total cost. Okay. X is the number of times playing racquetball. Number times played. Okay. Then I take a look. My number of times played is going to go from 0 to 10 to 20, kind of evenly spaced. And then I need to go from 150 to 350. So let's start at 0 and let's go to the 400 again. Let's just do the same thing as before. So there's 200, half, 300, half, 100. So 0 would cost me $150 to just use the gem. 10 of them would cost me 300 and 20 would cost me 350. 20 would cost me 350 right in there. That seems a little, but I think that's right. 20, 200, 300, 150, and 150. Yeah. Oh, that one's the problem. It should be more like there. There we go. So beauty of the smartboard is I can break all that up and get rid of the junk I don't need, but check yours and make sure that it looks pretty good. Oh, except I want that. There we go. This is the stuff I don't want. All right, make your graph look nice. Okay, so there's our finished graph. Do negatives make sense? Could I ever play negative times or could I run a total cost? No. So I don't need a full four, well, there we go, a full four quadrants. I just need the one, the L, okay? And it's gonna look like that. Versus what I don't need is something that looks like this. Right? I don't need to go negative. It wouldn't make any sense. No negativo. All right, let me get back to black. All right, what would C of 52 mean? So this is the equation that we had. And what happens if I made it a function where C, the cost, versus P equals play time, play racquetball, right? What would 52 mean? So think about that for a second. You might know something about our calendar. There are 52 weeks in a year. So you average one, I guess we'll call it game per week for a year. Now, that doesn't mean you played once a week every week, but it does mean that you played on average once a week. So let's do the calculation. 15 times 52 plus 150. I'm going to snag a calculator real quick. 15 times 52 plus 50. Oops, plus 100. There we go. 930. Let's check and make sure that that seems right. 15 times 52 is 780 plus 150 equals $930. If I were to join the gym, $150, and play once a week, every week for a year, I would pay $930. All right, a leaking water tank. So here is our next storyline. Put my picture back up there. So a water tank is full with 55 gallons of water. There is a small leak, and over time it loses 0.6 gallons per day. Tanque de agua fuegas 0.6 galones. I don't know how to say gallons. Gallons per day. Gallons, galones per day. Por día. Okay? So let's write our equation. Let's start with that and then we'll define everything. So we start with 55 gallons. That's our constant. That's the beginning thing. But what we know is that our tank is going to be leaking over time. So our slope is actually negative 0.6. So now we need to define each one of these. So Y is going to be the volume of water. Okay, how much water is in the tank? How much, sorry, I keep like jumping to the, how much water is in the tank? ¿Cuánta agua hay en el tanque? Es Y. All right, M is the leak, we're going to call it a rate because it's really gallons per day. X is going to be days. And B is going to be a full tank. So let's actually look here while we're here and take a look at what our graph is going to look like, la gráfica. Y is the volume of water and X is days. So let's fill that in. Y is the volume of water in gallons, and X is going to be our days. Okay. Oh, that's terrible. Days. Let's see what it recognizes. Days. Nice. Okay. There you go. Days. All right. So story, check. Equation, check. We've defined all of the variables. Now we're going to do a table. So as always, I like to start with 0. If no days have gone by, the full tank is 55. So let's see what happens after I kind of like the 10 and the 20. Let's go 10 and 20 again. So this is going to be negative 0.6 times 10 plus 55. Again, I'm going to grab a calculator and I'm going to go 0.06 times 10 is point is no point. Oh, there we go. 0.6 times 10 is 6. So this is going to be minus 6. So we lost 10 gallons plus 55. Integer math. We're going to have 49 gallons left. After 20 days, negative 0.6 times 20, that should be 12 gallons, right? So we doubled the number of days. We should have lost 12 gallons. Menos 20 galones. Galones. 55. Okay, so 0.6 times 20 should be a negative 12 plus 55. Okay, negativo 12 más, what is that? 40, 50, 55 is 55, 45, 30. Nope, sorry, 43. Is that right? 43, 53, yes. Shoo. Okay. Let's get rid of that little squiggly. I didn't mean to have that there. Okay, so days 0, 10, 20. Okay, volume of water, I'm going to have to go from 55 down to 43. So let's go 0 and let's go 60 this time. So halfway would be 30. This would be 15. This would be 45. Okay, so 0 and 55 would be here. And then 0 and 49 would, after 10 days, it's a very slow leak, right? It's negativo y gradual. And then 43, which is going to be a little below that 45. I'd say this one's probably a little too high, right? To make my line. 2 points makes a line, 3 makes you sure. So it's going to take a lot more than 20 days before that empties out. So do negatives make sense? Could I go negative days? No. And could I go negative gallons? No. Okay, so doesn't make sense. So what I don't need is something that looks like this, right? I only need this. Only positives make sense. Solo positivo. All right. So what would V of 0? So when the days are 0, what would 0.6D plus 55 mean? That would mean when the tank is full on day 0. How long would it take for the tank to empty? So that is where my volume equals 0 equals negative 0.6 D plus 55. Solve for D. All right, so minus 55, clean it up, negative 55 equals negative 0.6 D, divide by negative 0.6, divide by negative 0.6. Grab a calculator and say, negative and a negative is a positive. Days make sense. It's going to be positive. 55 divided by 0.6 is 91.6 repeating. So it would take the tank to empty at 92 days. It would be empty. Okay? Because at 91 days, it still has a tiny little bit of water in it. But by 92 days, it would be totally empty. Okay? All right, last one. Banana tree. So we're going to look at banana tree growth. So we have a baby banana tree, a pequeño árbol. All right, so here's what we have. They gave us a graph. Let me move my picture. So we have banana tree growth. It looks like it started at 8 inches. That's its little, that's as small as it got. And then it's growing. Here's my slope, right? This is my m equals. Well, let's take a look at that right now. So 8 to 12 is a plus 4, and 0 to 1 is 1. So my slope is going to be rise 4 over 1. So my slope is 4. So actually we can just fill that in right now. Remember, hit pause if you haven't filled all this out yet. And we know that we started at 8. Cool. 8. So from our graph, we can automatically figure out where it starts, the y-intercept, and what the slope is. So let's go ahead and back up. Let's define all of these variables, and then we'll write our story. So y is going to be the height, right? Because this is our y, height in inches, height of the tree. Okay. Then m is our slope. That's its growth per day. So growth per day. Oops. Wow, that was terrible. Our x is days, the s, right? Days. These two are on our graph, height and days. And then b is how big it was when it started. So starting height, altura. Okay, let's write our story. So we have a banana tree. Growth. We have an 8-inch tree. Grows 4 inches per day. There's our story. Okay, a banana tree, growth. 8-inch tree is growing 4 inches per day. Remember, pause if you need more time to copy these down. So on day 0, we have an 8-inch tree. On day 1, we have a 12-inch tree. On day 2, we have a 16-inch tree, right? So would negatives make sense? So could we have a negative days? No. Could we have a negative height? No. Right? Now we could go less than 8. So before that, it could actually come down to the seed, right? How many days before that was it a seed? I don't know the word for seed. Semilla? Semilla? Or la semilla? La semilla. Okay. Pero el árbol es 8 inches when we start. All right, what would h of 15 mean? Okay, so this is my days. So h is height. After d is days. So height, OGHT at 15 days. And what would h of 15 be? So 4 times 15 plus 8. Well, 2 times 15 is 30, so 60 plus 8 equals 68 inches. All right, great. So classwork, if today was a late start, you do not need to do this. If it was not a late start, please do this. Continue watching regardless, okay? Again, if you missed any of those 4 stories or the notes that go with it, please go back in this video and make sure that you get those. So here's your choice. If today is not a late start and you have 90 minutes for class, you have 2 choices. Number 1, think of a story you could represent as a linear function in 4 ways. Words, equation, table, graph, okay? And then create a 4 faces mini poster of your story. So piensa en un una historia que puedas representar como una función lineal de 4 maneras: palabras, ecuación, tabla y gráfico. Crea un mini poster de 4 caras de tu historia. So on a sheet of paper, papers up front if you don't have any, write the story, the equations with the variables, con variables, the table, and the graph. Just like we did for the other 4, you're doing one of your own. Or if you're not thinking real creative today, in Google Classroom, in Google Classroom, there is a game called Turtle Time Trials. So go and play, juega a Turtle Time Trials in Desmos. I will be grading your answers, so you have to do the work. Don't just click through it, actually do all of the work. And then, if this is not a late start day, if you do not finish during class, it is due the next period. That's when I will grade. You will either turn in your story or I will grade your Turtle Time Trials. You do not need to do both, only one, solo un. Okay? All right, real quick before you hit pause. Today, you should have been able to represent a linear function in 4 ways. Representar una función lineal de 4 maneras. Story, historia. Equation, ecuación. Table, tabla, gráfico, graph. Okay? And, oh, I don't know where our calendar went. There's our calendar. Please keep in mind that next week is our test. El examen 7 in next week. Next week. Next week. Próxima semana. Adiós.